Female athletes who think that the trans people competing against biological women is very unfair, who have said, yes, you can form a transgender-specific league would be the right solution. You can be inclusive and accommodating without erasing the category of women's sports at all. I mean, the incident that touched off this, I agree with you, conversation that got kind of low on both sides, and that's not very nice to see. But did involve at a serious level of competition, victory of a team by what the conservatives would say a biological woman competing against or biological man rather competing against biological women, and that at elite levels of competition that is unfair, or even non-elite levels of competition, at competitive levels of competition is I guess what I mean. When you have very young kids, I know this from. I brought this up brought this up on the show before. I used to coach track, grade school track, and for 5th grade, 6th grade, boys and girls can all run against each other. There's not like an average difference in ability. By the time you get to 8th grade, the men and women do depart in terms of athletic ability. The men are all faster than the women. The women are really fast, actually, compared to the 11th grade girls, because pre-puberty, the changes to women's bodies, they're actually faster. You just have to be rational about what is fair for competition. It's no longer fair for them to race against each other. I assume, what was this, softball? There's going to be a huge difference in ability between men and women, much beyond puberty.
For sure. I think that there's a real conversation, but I just think that the magnitude that we've put the microscope on everything to make it bigger than what it is more because of the culture war, as opposed to the amount of incidents that are happening that are actually hijacking women's sports, which particularly is usually the conversation. And I think that, it's not like a yes or no issue, and it's not that simple to solve. I think it's more of a how. How do we start to solve this? And like anything in America that we haven't had a lot of experience with, we come up with things that we find to be solutions temporarily, and then we change them and adapt with how it makes sense for our society. And what makes sense is you learn and grow more. And so just because people are, more outwardly saying that they're trans now doesn't change the fact that how many trans people may have been or existed since the beginning of time. It just means that we're having rightfully more conversations about it. And so we have to figure out how to best manage this now that we're comfortable having real conversations about it and not sweeping under the rug. And I think that's a good place to be, and shouldn't just lean into a cultural war immediately just to get like a political point with whatever side you align with. Because again, there's real people here that are affected every time we're just talking about them in blanket statements.
Well, sure, and I don't want to be disrespectful to them, and I do want to accommodate and include them wherever possible. But sign up to be, and I maybe softball is the thing you love most in the world, but I don't know, just like to sign up.
If you're a parent, I get the stress
team.
On the other side to be like, oh, we lost, and they have all these questions. Totally understandable. But I think that there should be more of a conversation as opposed to the solution being like, oh, kick them off the team. Let's just find out a solution. Let's be more inclusive in the conversation and figure out how we start beginning to develop these leagues at every level, from, undergraduate to, actual professional sports. Maybe there's a conversation to actually make a real permanent solution that makes sense for everybody, instead of trying to just, by isolating it doesn't change anything, right? We're still in the same position where people that are trans do want to play sports, and so now what?
But I think many liberal Democrats, mainstream media people are not ready at all to even have that conversation, because they're not conceding. I see a version of this sentence appear in news articles every time this issue comes up, where I'll read this very sentence. Scientists or experts, whoever it is, a more nebulous category, experts say there's no scientific evidence that trans women have an advantage over women in sports. Okay, come on now. We know there's an advantage. There's clearly an advantage. It's like saying there's no, experts are mixed on whether like opening up a parachute will prevent a catastrophic fall if you jump out of a plane. Well, I guess we've not tested it, but haven't we tested, and we do really actually know that?
And I want to hear from actual scientists, people who study anatomy, people who know much more about this particular.
Well, I want to
thing
hear from them,
than
but
I
if they
do.
don't recognize what
No,
we can
less
all
than I do
see
experts. I
from
want
our
to hear
own
from
eyes and
doctors.
lived experience,
Right,
then
but I'd
they're no good.
I'd like people to come to the table more and have real conversations, like you said, as opposed to less, and not just write off the article. Like, what if there's something in there that actually the expert makes a point? Like, let's hear it out. But instead, it's just like as soon as you see that headline, like a lot of people, you shut the door on the conversation. And so, like you said, the other side with Democrats, they shut the door on the conversation. And so, like, we're not going to find a solution that way by campaigning on this issue.
Well, and maybe even in sports, maybe there's something where the average difference in ability isn't as stark, but men and women are, on a biological level, very different. In athletic ability, particularly the more and more elite, the more advanced, the more competitive you get, the difference in ability gets real stark, real fast. And so the idea that there would be no advantage is just, it's like laughable, but I see this sentence appear in the mainstream media all the time.
Well, we'll stay on top of it. It's not going to be the last story, I'm sure.
We have a lot more to talk about on Rising. Stay with us.